On August 8, 2025, in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, two young British men came to celebrate a milestone, but their night out ends with one of them collapsing on Ipanema Beach, while three women slip away in a taxi. What begins as a festive evening in one of the world's most vibrant cities turns in a matter of hours. On the evening of August 8th, two British students were in Rio de Janeiro's Lapa district, an area known for its nightlife, live music, and crowded bars. They went to a bar to celebrate their graduation, a moment they had planned for months. While there, according to police and witness accounts, they met three women who will later be identified. The group socialized at the bar, ordered drinks including caipirinhas, and appeared to enjoy the night together. Security footage and witness statements show the men leaving the bar with the women later that evening. At that point, everything seemed ordinary. After leaving the bar, the two British students continued with the three women for a short time, unaware that their night was about to take a dangerous turn. Investigators later determined that the drinks they had been given were laced with strong sedatives, a tactic commonly referred to in Brazil as the Boa Noite Cinderella, or Goodnight Cinderella scheme. While many viewers may be familiar with scopolamine, a drug that can cause memory loss, compliance, and confusion, the Goodnight Cinderella method relies on a different class of sedatives that rapidly impair motor coordination, judgment, and consciousness. The goal is straightforward: render the victim incapacitated long enough for criminals to steal valuables, access bank accounts, or commit other crimes without resistance. Unlike scopolamine, which is often feared for its ability to erase memory, the drugs used in Goodnight Cinderella schemes primarily induce unconsciousness and extreme disorientation, leaving victims unable to protect themselves or call for help. Police reports and witness accounts indicate that within minutes of consuming the tainted drinks, the first victim began feeling dizzy and off balance. His speech slurred, and he struggled to walk. The second victim showed similar signs, though he remained partially aware of his surroundings for a slightly longer period. Investigators later noted that the effects can vary depending on a person's weight, metabolism, and what they had eaten, which explains why one man collapsed completely on Ipanema Beach, while the other maintained limited awareness. Authorities say the method is often very precise. The perpetrators typically choose crowded nightlife areas, identify tourists who appear distracted or relaxed, and offer drinks, often caipirinhas, a common Brazilian cocktail, mixed with the sedatives. Victims rarely realize what has happened until it is too late. In this case, the calculated use of the drugs allowed the suspects to isolate the men and move them toward a location where they could be robbed with minimal interference. For the British students, the result was immediate and severe. Shortly after leaving the bar, one of the British students became visibly unsteady. Footage filmed by a local delivery driver shows him staggering across the sand of Ipanema Beach, struggling to maintain his balance. Within moments, he collapses, falling face first onto the sand. Passers-by rush to help, while the other student remains disoriented nearby, unable to fully comprehend what is happening. At the same time, CCTV footage and witness accounts capture the three women leaving the scene. They are seen getting into a taxi and driving away from the beach shortly after the collapse, carrying with them the victims' phones and other valuables. Police reports later revealed that the woman had also attempted to access one of the victims' bank accounts, trying to move £20,000, although only about £2,000 was successfully withdrawn before the transaction was blocked. After the collapse, the two British students were taken to their accommodation. They woke up hours later, still disoriented, to find their phones, cash, and other valuables missing. One of the men noticed unauthorized activity on his bank account. Police later confirmed that the suspects had attempted to transfer approximately £20,000, although only a fraction of that amount was withdrawn before the bank froze the funds. The students reported the incident to local authorities immediately. Investigators quickly identified the suspects based on the video footage, witness accounts, and taxi records showing the women fleeing the scene. Police noted that the victims had been incapacitated in a way that prevented them from defending themselves or even recalling the full sequence of events at first. Once the British students reported the incident, Rio de Janeiro's Tourist Support Police Station, known as DEET, began an immediate investigation. Officers reviewed the video captured by the local delivery driver, which clearly showed one of the men collapsing on Ipanema Beach, while the three women fled in a taxi. Police also collected witness statements from people in the area and obtained taxi records to trace the suspect's escape route. Chief Inspector Patricia Alamany, who led the investigation, stated that intelligence work played a key role. Surveillance footage, combined with rapid coordination across different police stations, allowed investigators to track the movements of the woman in the hours and days following the incident. The police identified the three women involved as 23-year-old Amanda Couto de Loca, 26-year-old Mayara Ketelin Americo da Silva, and 27-year-old Ryan Campos de Oliveira. According to authorities, the trio is part of a group that targets foreign tourists in Rio de Janeiro's nightlife districts, including visitors from the United Kingdom, France, the United States, and Argentina. Their method is consistent across multiple incidents: approach tourists in bars, offer drinks laced with sedatives, and then steal valuables while the victims are incapacitated. 10 days after the incident, police located Amanda Couto de Loca hiding in the Duque de Caxias suburb of Rio de Janeiro. Officers from the 62nd Police Station, working in coordination with the Tourist Support Police Station, had been monitoring her movements since the day of the beach collapse. Intelligence work and surveillance allowed them to pinpoint her location and plan a controlled apprehension. When officers approached, De Loca reportedly surrendered without resistance, stating, "I give up." She was taken to DEAT, where she was formally placed under arrest under the warrant issued by Judge Carlos Eduardo Carvalho de Figueiredo of Rio's 19th Criminal Court. Authorities described her apprehension as a critical step in both protecting potential future victims and advancing the investigation into the broader pattern of incidents involving the same suspect. At the time of Amanda Couto de Loca's arrest, the other two women, Mayara Ketelin Americo da Silva and Ryan Campos de Oliveira, remained at large. Police emphasized that they considered both to be dangerous and capable of committing similar crimes if not apprehended. The police continued their investigation to locate Mayara Ketelin Americo da Silva and Ryan Campos de Oliveira. Investigators relied on a combination of intelligence work, surveillance footage, and tips from the public. The Disque Denuncia service, a hotline for reporting crimes anonymously, provided crucial information that helped officers narrow down potential locations where the suspects might be hiding. On September 5th, authorities received a tip that Mayara Ketelin Americo da Silva was staying at a motel in the northern zone of Rio de Janeiro. Acting on this information, police went to the location and apprehended her without incident. She was taken into custody and formally charged along with the other suspects. Ryan Campos de Oliveira, meanwhile, was initially arrested on August 18th in Duque de Caxias alongside Amanda Couto de Loca. However, prosecutors later determined there was insufficient evidence linking her directly to the crime. She was released, though authorities continue to monitor her closely due to her history of similar offenses. Two women are now formal defendants in the case. Prosecutors have requested preventive detention and are seeking compensation of £4,600 for the British victims. Court documents show that the woman faced charges of qualified robbery, theft through electronic fraud, and criminal association. These two men were lucky to survive. For travelers, a few simple precautions can make the difference between a memorable trip and a dangerous situation. Never accept drinks from strangers, especially in crowded nightlife districts, and to keep an eye on personal belongings at all times. Using app-based taxis instead of hailing rides on the street can reduce the risk of being followed or taken to an isolated location. Authorities also recommend limiting the amount of cash and valuables carried, enabling two-factor authentication for banking apps, and keeping someone informed of your whereabouts. Even seemingly friendly interactions in social settings can carry risk, and incidents like this one serve as a reminder that vigilance is essential. For these British students, their night out turned into a frightening experience that could have been much worse. If you found this video shocking, you won't want to miss this next video.